Hey guys, welcome to Wrenchin. My name is Ben, and today I'm wrenching on my 94 Chevy K1500. Today I am working on the front differential. It's leaking a little bit. A reliable source told me that I could put synthetic gear oil into it, and hopefully that will stop it from leaking. So I'm going to show you how to fill the front differential with gear oil, and we'll see if we can get a cheap fix to work to stop this leak before I have to replace the seals. So I will get under there and show you what I'm working with. Alright, so underneath the front of the truck, the axle right here has a seal, and that's obviously leaking pretty badly. It's also leaking on the other side too. So this is the driver's side, that's where the seal is. So it's leaking on the driver's side too. So rather than going ahead and replacing both of those seals, which means I'd have to take out both axles and replace those seals, it's not a fun job, but there's 6 bolts right there. You take all those off and you have to use a slide hammer to pull this backing plate out, and that doesn't look very fun. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said he has put full synthetic gear oil into his differential and got it to stop leaking. So I'm going to try that. Basically all I got to do is remove this fill plug, fill it up, and see if that fixes it. So I will do that. I'll fill up the differential and then clean all this up. It says to fill it until it's 11 millimeters from the top. I don't have a way to measure that. The person who told me to try this synthetic fluid said go ahead and just fill it until it comes out of there like you do anything else that's got a fill plug. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to fill it up with this synthetic gear oil and hope for the best. So I imagine I will end up replacing both of these seals on my differential. But like I said, I feel like it's worth trying before I resort to that and see if I can get this thing to stop leaking. So it would probably be easier to take this plate off. I'm going to try and not do that. I might be able to get that fill plug off and get this up in there and fill this up. So I'm going to see if I can do that. 15 millimeter socket on this fill plug. And that was not difficult at all to remove. So luckily mine was not seized on there. So there are a few ways to get this oil into the differential. I'm going to try this spray nozzle, stick it in there, see if I can spray it into the differential. So I will cut this and stick the spray nozzle down in here, and we'll see if we can pump it out that way. All right, let's try this terrible idea. And that is actually working. So I'm just going to keep pumping this until it starts dripping out. I did put a piece of cardboard down. So once it's full, we will see a pretty good stream coming out of this fill hole. I can't believe this is actually working. Be a good idea to put on gloves when you do this. So I'm just holding the bag up with my hand as I squeeze the bottle. That way the straw is all the way at the bottom of the bag. So I will keep spraying this in here until it starts leaking out. All right, there we go. It is weeping out. So I think we have filled it. So just to be sure, I'm going to squirt some more of this in there, and it should all just weep right out. So there we go, it is full. All right, so I've pulled out my cardboard. I've got my drip pan in there, and I will let that drip out. Probably put way too much in there, but I wanted to be double sure that it was full. So I will let the rest of that run out, and once it's done, I'll put the fill plug back in and clean it all up. So I used about half of this bag. Looks like the level is about up to right here. So I did have to put quite a bit in it. I should say my buddy said to use this Valvoline full synthetic oil. He said he's used it one time and it helped his to stop leaking. So I figured it was worth a shot, but I will link this in the description. It does say 75W90. The manual calls for 80W90, and the only thing I could find in full synthetic was 75W90. I'm sure that has some reason because it's full synthetic. It may weigh a little bit different, but I am confident that this is the right thing because I could not find full synthetic 80W90. So if that's obvious, you guys can just roast me in the comments. Otherwise, I would definitely say this is okay to use. And pretty much done leaking, so I'm going to go ahead and put the fill plug back in and clean up my mess. This fill plug does have a gasket on it. I'm obviously going to reuse mine, but I will check to make sure that this fill plug isn't leaking after I clean everything up and run it for a while. I'm going to be really careful not to strip these threads, so I'm rotating it backwards until the threads catch, and then I'll rotate it forwards and make sure that it's going in there real smooth. And that feels good. So this was not on there very tight at all, so I'm not going to crank it down, but I am going to get it tight. So that is probably about as tight as it was. So I'm going to tighten it just a little bit. That's probably good. About 1/8 of a turn. And now I'll clean up my mess and we'll see if that leak stops. I was going to use my go-to cleaner, but I just realized I'm out of green cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and use some Dawn Power Wash. That is my next go-to for cleaning up just about anything. So I'll clean it with this first, and then I'll use some brake cleaner to clean up the rest. And I'll go ahead and clean up the other side as well. Alright, so I have sprayed generously, and I'm going to wipe all this down, and then I'll hit it with some brake cleaner, and we'll see how clean we got it. Looks pretty good even after the Dawn. Haven't even done brake cleaner yet. Do the same on this side. Alright, next I'll hit it with some brake cleaner. I just noticed my brake cleaner is called parts cleaner. Is there any difference? It is grimy under this truck. Alright, so there we go. Now this should be able to let us see if we still have leaks. I'll let this dry a little bit, but I think I cleaned it up pretty good. At least good enough to see if there's any leaks back there. So we'll try that out, run it for a week, and see if we have more leaks coming from these two seals. I imagine I will, just because it was pretty bad, and I can't imagine this stuff's actually going to stop the leaking, but it's worth a shot. It was like 10 bucks or 15 bucks or something, so it's worth trying. It's definitely a lot better than taking off both of the axles. So we'll try that out and see how it does. So that is how to fill the differential with gear oil on your OBS Chevy truck. If you like this content, please subscribe. And if you want to see me eventually pull both of these axles and change those seals, I would subscribe, because I imagine I'm going to have to do that eventually. But we'll see how this goes. I'll let you guys know if it worked or not. So that is it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.